Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing good. Today I've got a very special guest. I'm really excited for this one. I'm joined by Guna Ryan, who is known as the Guna in Detroit on Twitter. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. First, I just got to say thank you very much, Sophie, for having me on. This is the first podcast that I've ever done, so
Wow.
it's different. It's definitely going to be a different but a unique experience, and I want to specifically thank you very much for that.
Oh, that's really lovely to hear. And yeah, I hope you do enjoy this chat as well. But as I said on the title as well, we'll be chatting about the transfers and we're happy to answer any questions as well up to do with Arsenal, England or the Euros, whatever you guys want to ask us. But I want to start off by talking a bit about transfers because obviously not a lot has really happened recently. I know obviously Raya has, signed a permanent deal. We've seen a few rumours about players that might leave. I did want to actually start off by talking a bit about Lokonga as well because he is set to go to Sevilla. I don't think it will be like I think it's more of a loan and maybe the option to buy. But I think as well he did really well at Luton. But I think when it's at Arsenal, it's a bit different because he can't exactly just jump in the team because look at our midfield as well. It's hard for him to get a chance. So yeah, what do you make of Lokonga? Do you think moving him on for the future would be the right thing to do?
Well, I think a loan deal for him
Yeah,
is the right way to go. Like you hit the nail right on the head. You don't know when Arteta, the whole scouting network for the Arsenal are looking at these players. They can see their unique skill to play at this level. You have to be
yeah,
elite of the best to play. When we saw Sambi very young coming into the Arsenal squad, you didn't know really what to get. You're not, he had
mm,
promising outings, but maybe it was too much for him right away, But I definitely think that the loan deal is perfect for him. He did great at Luton. He looked
yeah,
like he had a enjoyed his time there, and he had some spectacular performances. But maybe the loan deal, while there, I've heard that there is a rumor of a fee potentially.
yeah,
Maybe there's the option if he goes and performs. You don't know what happens in the future. Maybe he goes there after his loan deal and he does very well and he could come back. You
yeah,
just know. I do think a loan option is the best way to go.
yeah,
Obviously fees, wages, things like that. It all gets factored in there. You It's a very interesting location because Sevilla's great in European.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think yeah, him going to Luton, I think, has definitely helped him. I know he had a few injuries when he was playing, but when I watched him play, I thought he did really well. I think he's got to just get regular game time wherever he goes, and I think Sevilla is not a bad shout, like you said. I think having that opportunity to play in Europe, having that chance to play for a great club, I think is exactly what he needs. And I think we know right now he wouldn't really, if he came off the bench, don't know if he's able to give us what we need. But I think for other teams, like we saw with Luton, he can give them that impact on the pitch. So I think it's going to be a good move. I mean, we never know, like you said, if he just goes for one season on loan, he could come back, and Arteta could be really impressed with how he's been. I just think it's all about seeing what happens. But I think a lot of us kind of knew throughout the season that we probably wouldn't see him next season. But I really like Lokonga. I know when he came, I think a lot of people gave him a lot of expectation, and it's so hard when you come from a different league as well because we've seen it sometimes it works really well, and sometimes players just struggle to adapt. So I think he's a player that does have a lot of talent and that does need a lot of time to get into it. But I know Tavares is another one, and I'm pretty sure he's going abroad as well to Lazio. And I think for me, with him, I think yeah, I don't ever see him coming back in the team, to be honest, because he started off really well, didn't he? He took Tierney's place. He was a joy to watch, and then I'm pretty sure it was a Nottingham Forest game where he did a bad pass to, I don't know if it was Leno at the time or Ramsdale, but he got subbed off before half time. It all kind of went wrong from there, didn't it? I mean, what do you make of him? Do you think that his future will not be at Arsenal anymore? Because it's hard to see where he would fit in the team.
He, like you said, he started off when he got brought on. It was a lot of hype, and a lot of us were worried
Yeah.
it's going to displace a fan favorite like Tierney. And he started off so well, and it was that not you were absolutely right. It's the Nottingham
Mm,
match where it seemed like every player is going to make mistakes. When he made that mistake, it seemed as though it broke him
yeah.
internally. You don't know what goes on behind the scenes. Arteta does very well with building players up and things of that nature. You just don't know what happened behind the scenes, and unfortunately, he never recovered. And he's still a young player with
Mm.
a lot of promise. Go make your move, go play in another league, and hopefully he has a long, prosperous career. However, I don't see him coming back. I just don't.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, like you said with Tierney, it was very strange watching him stay out the team for a while. But I think a lot of us know now with Tavares, great person, but I don't think he could really come back in the team. I mean, I know the left back position is one that I think is something that we should solve. And I know we have been linked to California as well. I think it's probably looking likely that we will sign him. I know nothing's been announced. There's been like so many rumours, but do you feel like left back is the position that we need to kind of go for and solve first? Because I know we have Zinchenko, and it's tough for Zinchenko because he gives you good moments when he's playing forward, but then defensively, for me, I just think he's not very good.
Well, it's the first and foremost thing. I'm a massive fan of Zinchenko. I
Yeah,
always have. He took us. He was able to get us to the next level of from where
yeah,
we're at. Um, but he is a defensive liability, whether it's the system that Arteta's playing. Um, but I do believe the left back position is we have to improve. So many times last season we got caught on the left hand side, and
yeah.
where we all see it, we try to avoid social media after those
I
mistakes.
know it's awful after a defeat or something. Yeah,
I know the players have to avoid it, but Zinchenko will still have a place in the team. However, if we want to start challenging with the likes of Man City, Real Madrid and the Champions
yeah.
League, all these top European teams, we need top players. I haven't watched all too much of Italy in the Euros,
Mm,
but if Arteta is saying that he wants Calafiori, I'm excited.
yeah,
Let's see what happens. Uh, I don't, I, you know, let's bring him in, and like you said, the expectations. He's a young player, young defender, but he's got European quality, obviously, to make it to the Italian national team. Maybe he will move to the next level, but we have to improve.
yeah. I think that's what you make a great point about the expectation as well, because I think as fans we can do this. You see them doing great for other teams for their country, and you can overhype them before they've come. And I think we've just got to like expect good things of them, but not to put too much pressure on them because I think with a few players, look at Fabio Vieira as well. I still think there's a good player in him, but he's obviously not kind of exceeded our expectations. But I think as well, you just never know how it's going to work. I mean, Tommy Asu is actually quite a good example because for me, I really love him. I think he's amazing. And obviously his injuries that he's had are so unfortunate for him. But I think he's adapted really well to the Premier League, to Arsenal, and it's so hard to predict if it will work. But I think, like you said, with Arteta, with Edu, you have that trust in them that it will work out because I know we've had, the odd one or two like the Willian that just hasn't worked out, and that sometimes happens. But I think a lot of us know now that we have that trust in Edu and Arteta that whoever they bring in, it will be the right decision. So I think I'm with you on that. Big up Wayne as well. Keep doing your thing, so big up yourself in the chat. Big up Terence. Tim's good to see you in here. Yeah. So I think with Sinchenko, it's a tough one because I'll always, like you said, he has took us to another level over the few years, and you could see that with his experience. But I do think as well, sometimes you can I think with players, I think you can outgrow them sometimes in a way. I think with Sinchenko, don't get me wrong, if he stayed here at Arsenal, I'd respect that. But I also feel like he hasn't played much game time throughout the season. And maybe would you see him going in the summer? Because for me, I think we will get rid of quite a lot of players. I know Eddie Nketiah is another one. I think we're going to have a busy summer.
There's I could see Zinchenko leaving. Another name that's been rumored is
Yeah,
Kivior,
yeah,
where I have to take off my fan hat, so to speak. You just anybody who puts on the Arsenal shirt, you become fond of,
yeah.
right?
You love them, yeah,
Also, that fine margin of where Zinchenko, well, yes, he did take us up to another level. He could have a place in the squad, like I said
yeah,
earlier. But if the price comes in, if a decent deal comes in, it's going to be very interesting to see how the coaching staff in the club itself deals with that. The niggling injuries here and there. It seems like he'll be on a team sheet, and then he picked up a he's
yeah,
niggling an injury, right? A training injury. He took we may have outgrown him, but I don't think that he's necessarily the prime one that we have to get out.
yeah, yeah.
But I don't know how much interest there is. There was a small rumor that Bayern was interested, but that was very early on prior to the Euro starting. The name that I see going, and it's unfortunate, is Kivior. A
Mm,
lot of interest from Serie A, a lot, and I think for him as well, it may be the best option.
yeah. Yeah, Kivior's, yeah, like you said, I have heard a lot of, speculation. I think with Kivior, I would be sad if we sold him because I think he's a good option to still have. He might not play all the time, but he's very useful to have. I think he's a very good player, but I also think if we need money, I think he'd be a good option to pick from because, we've seen him a lot last season, and I think teams that want him have seen how good he is throughout the league, and I reckon you could get a bit of money for him as well. I believe throughout the summer, I reckon we'll get rid of more players than we'll buy because I think we are close to being to where we need to be. I just think we need like a few more players to add on that, and I know Smith Rowe is another one that we could, he could be leaving. I'm pretty sure he will. Because I know Fulham have that interest as well. Even now I'm still 50-50. Like, there's a part of me that thinks, why not keep him, take that risk and maybe play him a bit more next season and hope it pays off. And then there's another part of me that thinks if we need money, we need to buy players, then it'd be a good opportunity to get some money for him. Like, where do you stand on the Smith Rowe situation? I know he probably will go, but would you like him to stay or would you think leaving would be the best option?
I think in a perfect world where money is no option, where
Yeah.
competitive nature for players, that natural drive to just get on a pitch and play in the top leagues, take that out of the equation. I would love to see Smith Rowe stay.
Mhm.
For himself, he's at the age where the injuries he has suffered and his recovery has just been, it seemed, delayed. The player himself, Smith Rowe, probably wants to leave, and you can't fault a player for that. Going
Yeah.
to Fulham, it's not a far move, obviously, um, and he'll get the playing time that he needs. The one thing that we have seen a lot being rumored is all these a buyback clause or a sell-on fee. I just think the club themselves have the squad's moved past Smith
Mhm.
Rowe. I think for himself, for his future, he needs to move on and go rediscover himself. There's a great
Yeah.
player in there. We all love him. We all love the Smith Rowe and Saka link up, but unfortunately, do we have can we afford to give him an option?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. I think as well that season when Bamiyang was here, he was incredible. Smith Rowe. He was, probably one of our best players. He was so amazing. But I know, like you said, in football things change. He was important for us then, but he's not really at the moment as important now. But I think even if he does leave, I think his time at Arsenal, like he will always be appreciated by the fans, which I think is amazing. And I think going to Fulham, it's not a bad thing because he would probably stand out a lot more because he's an incredible player. And yeah, I think he does have a few injuries as well in him. I know that he's had to deal with that throughout the season, and we've not really seen as much of him. I would have liked to seen a bit more of him, but I know of injuries, you don't want to push yourself too hard. So I think with Smith Rowe, I think we're all kind of, at the stage where, we've accepted he'll probably leave, but he'll always be appreciated by us Arsenal fans for what he did. Um, but yeah, Eddie Nketiah, as I mentioned, another one. I know Arteta Eddie won, probably more than 20 million because I know he's been linked abroad as well, and Arteta and Eddie want more from him. And for me, I feel like 20 million. I know that doesn't seem a lot to, Edwin Arteta, but I don't really know how much they think they're realistically going to get for him because, no disrespect, Eddie is a great player for the right team. And whether that's, in the Premier League, whether that's, abroad, he will do well. But I think because we see him at Arsenal a lot, we've not seen him play throughout the season as much as we would. And I just don't know how much they think they're gonna get for Eddie. Like, how much do you think we could get for him? Because I know at the moment, people are putting offers around 20 million, and I don't think that's that bad. I mean, I know at one point they wanted 50 million, which they're never gonna get. It's just, yeah, it's crazy.
Well, I would like to think. Let's take out social media out of
Yeah,
transfer rumors, all the ITK individuals. The money that gets thrown around of these transfers are ridiculous. Like you said, Eddie's a good player for the right team. Good person.
yeah,
He's carried some weight. Has he met expectations? No,
yeah,
absolutely not. There's been some great players to wear that number 14. I think 2025 is a fair
yeah,
offer, and the wage. I don't know what kind of a wage that he's on, but when he signed that new deal, obviously it was a pay increase. What kind of team around the world will pay the fee and a 40-50 million dollar transfer fee? That window starts going gets smaller and smaller when you start talking about the whole package deal.
yeah,
Maybe he would go to a lower Premier League team. I know there's a few
yeah,
teams circling him. Serie A, Bundesliga. I don't know, but I do believe he's another player that at his age he has to go. He has to
mm,
go rediscover himself. Thank you, Eddie. Will always appreciate for what you have done. Hat trick, his
mm,
first goals on his debut, but
yeah,
we need someone a little bit higher caliber to take us to that next level. I think 20-25 million is the right deal. I,
yeah.
is you and Arteta holding off till the end of the summer where teams may get a little bit more desperate? I don't know.
Yeah, it's a difficult one because I think realistically, like you said, I think 20-25 million, 30, at a push. I don't think we'd get 30, but I think 20-25. I think I know they want more, but I just think realistically that is what they're going to get for Eddie. Like you said, he is a great player, but he's not exceeded those expectations. But if you look back a few seasons ago when we were competing for the first time in a while, he was, for a big chunk of the season when Jesus was injured, he really helped us. And he actually really stepped up, and I was quite surprised by how good he was at that point. But I know for him, for doing it all the time throughout the season is something that he's not able to do. But I think, whether that would be going to a team maybe like a Crystal Palace or, whatever team in the Premier League, I still think he's good enough to be in the Premier League. And yeah, I think he's definitely going to be one to go this summer. But like you said, Arteta, I do might want to wait, towards the end, leave it a little bit to see. But I kind of don't want us to miss out in case we could have sold him and we haven't, because he's only going to be sat on the bench. And I know for him, he does deserve to go to a team that, he can play regular football. So that one will be interesting as well. And I know Crystal Palace, Eze is a good one player to have. I mean, for me, he really excites me watching him. He's amazing for me. I really enjoy watching him. How would you think he would do at Arsenal? Do you think if we did get him, he would, fit in quite well? Because I just when I watch him, I just get so excited. I think he's a great player.
You look at him and he can definitely for Palace, he can change a game.
Yeah.
When his name popped up as a potential rumor, that's one that I would really like to
Mm.
pay a close eye to, because we know going to Palace or even Palace at home where he was a player where you had to watch. He
Yeah.
drifts wide and you lose track of him. Next thing you know, blink of an eye, he's in on goal, and he fits the bill. He fits the bill. Obviously, players all talk to each other offline through WhatsApp and all of that.
Yeah.
But I think he would be a great addition, and he's got that vital Premier League experience. He's doing it against top clubs,
Yeah.
and nothing against Palace. They have a solid squad, but it seems at times where he had done it himself, just made something out of nothing. And that's what we need. Whose position would he take? Obviously, there's a certain fan favorite where he would be challenging. Um,
Yeah.
that competition can take your squad to the next level, like we've been talking about. And
Yeah.
the personal battles between two players in a squad in a club, it's so important in the squad. If you know no one's coming knocking on the door to take your spot, if he comes in, there's going to be a certain individual looking over his shoulder saying, I need to step up. And we're going to
Yeah.
be winning a lot of matches. He's got the Premier League experience, and I think he would do great in Europe.
Yeah, he's for me, he's a very good player, and like you said, I know being at Crystal Palace to Arsenal it is different because we would probably, if he played a lot of the time, we'd want to see his performances more consistently. But I think with him, like you said, whether he's playing for England, wherever he's playing, we do see a great player in him. And I think as well, competition, I think it's only a good thing. I know we saw that with Tierney, Zinchenko came in, rightly so deserved that place. So I think it'd be good to have him. I know a lot of, we've had a lot of rumours about other players as well. And I wanted just to bring this one up because I have seen a bit about this online. Have we talked about the 50 grand bid for Daniel Bentley yet? I don't know what it is with Arsenal wanting goalkeepers. Like, I think we're okay. I know it depends what Ramsdale's going to do, but I just didn't know what to think about that situation.
It's We've actually been talking in several group chats. Ramsdale's such a fan favorite.
Yeah.
He's a big personality. But when I see these rumors flying around for goalkeepers, you have to laugh at just make a joke of it. Are we going to
Yeah.
start goalkeepers in the back line? Are we going to start a goalkeeper up top? There's got to be something behind the scenes that they're seeing as far as goalkeepers. And
Yeah.
if he's being scouted by the team, okay, so be it. I think that he was being scouted for a third choice option. I believe he's
Yeah.
a player, but you'll have people saying 50 grand is too much for him, and then people will, if you look at Wolves fans,
Yeah.
they're picking him up. Oh, you just don't know. I don't think he's not going to be one that comes in and
Mm.
obviously starts week in week out, but you
Yeah.
you, you want to have some solid backup in
Yeah.
injury.
Yeah, it's a tough one as well because Ramsdale, like, I've not really heard much about him this summer. Ages ago, I heard rumours about Newcastle, but it sort of died down, and he tweeted about it, saying that it was news to him, like it wasn't really something he knew about. So, I think with that, that's the only closest thing we've had to Ramsdale. I could see him staying. It's very difficult because I'd understand if you wanted to be around the squads for another season, I suppose, or maybe just stay till January. But realistically, if I was him, I would want to go and get game time somewhere else. Yeah, I don't know what would happen with Ramsdale. I think that one would be really tough to take if he left, even though we all know it would happen soon. Like you said, he's a fan favourite. We've built this amazing connection with him. And yeah, it'll be sad to see him go, but I think as well for me, as an England fan, I'd love him. I love Pickford, don't get me wrong, but one day I would love him to take his place and see him do well there. So yeah, that's another one. It's quite a tough one with Ramsdale. I think at the moment nothing's really happening with that. It's been quite quiet, which has surprised me because obviously Raya signed a new deal and he's obviously going to get, most of the games, no few cup games we might give to our second choice goalkeeper. But I think, yeah, that one has surprised me. But it's going to be exciting to see what happens. Yeah, we mentioned this before as well. This is definitely going to happen. These deals, I think it's good. Really, I think it's the right thing on both parts. I mean, for you, I wanted to ask you a bit about what positions for you do you feel like are our main priorities? Because for me, I'd love a striker. I would like us to go for it. But I also think, midfield as well. Partey, I know nothing's happened about that, but is he staying? Is he, I know he's still got a contract here. Is he going to run that out? What sort of positions would you like to see us go for this summer?
Well, the left back, like we said earlier,
Yeah,
is so pivotal just on the way that we play out of the back, where it's the old school way of just knocking it long.
yeah,
That that's not modern football. That's not the football that we see, and we need someone that take the chances. Take the
yeah,
chances where we see with Saliba. Saliba takes some chances and they pay off rather well, but it's high risk, high reward. Where we just need somebody who can play out of the back, but also be solid defensively. And then I would really be interested to see if we could bring somebody in to help in midfield,
yeah,
where Party has the rumors have kind of fizzled out, so to speak. But you have to wonder, there have been a few names circling around in the rumor mill. Declan Rice transformed the team. We need who's
yeah.
gonna be that third name, Odegaard, Rice, and who else? That's where I think we should be focusing.
Mm,
I love Kai Havertz. There were
mm,
rumors of a striker coming in, Sesko. Obviously, that deal obviously got squashed.
yeah,
That rumor. However, I think left back, a third player in midfield to help out Odegaard. However, we got to look up top. Havertz has
mm,
had a great Euros. He's looked pretty good, and his confidence is back.
yeah.
But with Eddie going out the door, who do we have to back up? Have Havertz or give him competition?
Yeah, I think it's interesting with Havertz. Like next season, do you think he will play a lot? Because I look at Havertz and I have watched him, for the Euros, and I think he's missed a hell of a lot of chances. But then for Arsenal, he's a little bit different. It's weird with Havertz. Like I know we've paid a lot of money for him, and looking back on the season, I feel really, I feel happy with how it's gone for him. But I just don't know if we're bringing other players in, will Havertz, get much of a run in? Do you think?
I think right off the bat, when as the season starts,
Mm.
unless there's going to be a superstar striker with European experience on his way to LA right now to link up with the squad in preseason,
Yeah.
get game time. Even if we bring in a striker, Havertz will get his game time at the beginning of the season, and then I think from there it would be a competition. Yes, he's missed a fair few of opportunities where you'd almost
Mm.
back him or a top striker to score. But like you said, he's different. The Arsenal squad is different. We've seen players
Yeah.
play international that struggled nationally. I do think that Havertz, it's not the worst case option if he is our star striker, but he need
Yeah.
he needs somebody to come in and threaten to take his place. But
Yeah.
also he can't lose his confidence. We saw what happened when he lost his confidence.
Yeah, he's Havertz for me is definitely a player on confidence. Like, when he came to Arsenal, it took him a long time to really score. I know, Odegaard gave him the penalty to take, but yeah, he went to the German team, did well, which gave him confidence when he came back to Arsenal. So Havertz is definitely a player on confidence, and yeah, I think next season I want to see more of him. He's a player that I think a lot of us are intrigued by. We've seen him do really well and help us throughout the season, and it's great to see how much confidence he's got right now. Just big up to Phil as well. Someone loves your background here. Yeah, I love that. But yeah, going into next season, I wanted to ask you a bit about that because for me, last season how it ended, I didn't actually like. I felt more proud than disappointed, to be honest. Like the season before, I felt really devastated because we were like 10 points clear, and I was like, surely we've got to win it, and obviously we weren't able to do that. But when the season finished last season, I thought we can really do it next season. We were literally a few points behind Man City. And I think if we had players, if we bring a little bit more experience and a bit more, maybe a striker in or a good left back that can help us, I think we could really beat City to it. But for you, how do you feel going into next season? Like, would you like us to go for, a few more other competitions like an FA Cup or, I know the League Cup's still there, but for me, I'd love us to go for, I think we've got to win a trophy next season.
Ooh, absolutely. And the one thing that it seemed like going into last season was that disappointment that we all felt when we were 10 points clear
Yeah.
and kind of all came crashing down. At the beginning of last season, it's okay, build yourself up, but the pressure, you know what to expect. I think next season we will go for a trophy.
Mm.
Arsenal and the FA Cup have a long lasting, beautiful relationship. It's a great tournament.
Yeah.
However, I think the Premier League is, I think the players know what to expect. I do think that there's a good chance. There's rumors of players leaving
Mm.
City. A lot of teams are going through a quote unquote rebuild
Yeah.
as well. But I think next year, while we all have pressures and the players have pressure on themselves, I think the squad knows what to expect. And I think there is a very good chance that we're gonna come May next year, we're gonna be looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to go up against the juggernaut like Man City where it seems financial rules don't apply.
Yeah. It's so annoying, yeah. Yeah.
And being there at the on the final day at the Everton match, it was everybody checking their phone.
It was so stressful.
If you told me a few years ago that we would be even experiencing that, I would have still taken it in a heartbeat. But next
Yeah.
season, I do think that there's a lot of players that are coming back. Timber coming
Mm.
back is going to
Yeah.
improve, and I really think that we're going to push for the Premier League and FA Cup, Champions League. We'll see. That's a very heavy schedule to try to balance.
Yeah, I think, being back as well in the Champions League after not being in it, it was just really nice to see us, compete again. Like you said, a few years back, we would never have been like this. It's nice to look at how far we've come. But I do think, we've got to win some sort of trophy, even if we had a similar season, I would be, disappointed that we're not able to do it. But like you said, FA Cups, I do love an FA Cup. I think we do have to win some sort of silver. I think as fans, we really deserve it. But I think the players seem really hungry to win it because I know you could see, when we played Everton and you could see when the players knew they hadn't won the league, you could see how disappointed they felt. And it was really nice for them to understand as well how we feel. Like it's like they're going through this journey with us, which I think is really lovely. A good opinion here because a lot of people have the same thoughts about a League Cup. I still think winning the League Cup and pushing close to the league and the Champions League is important. I think for me, I would obviously rather us go for the Premier League, the Champions League than an FA Cup or the League Cup. But realistically, we probably won't win a Champions League next season because we're only, we've just got back into it. We could get to a final. You never know. Obviously, I'd want to win a league in a heartbeat, but I think realistically, an FA Cup, I think, could be. I think we can achieve an FA Cup, because I think look at how well we've done throughout the season. We've beaten a lot of the big teams. I think we've just got to go for it in the FA Cup. I know as well with the League Cup, it's not a massive trophy, but I always say silverware is silverware, and I'd just be happy to get some silverware next season.
Well, and that's just it. Where the players themselves, they'll go back and
Mm.
after that final day, they'll go home with their families, and it's a whole family affair, right? They're riding the coasters with the fans, where we see Odegaard, Rice's girlfriend, Bukayo Saka's,
Yeah,
all of them celebrating with fans. They go home and they still have that pressure there as well. All you play the game because you love,
yeah,
but you push yourself to a whole new level. I mean, look at Bukayo with the chance
yeah,
of winning the Euros. He's hungry. Declan Rice too. They're hungry.
yeah.
Top players want to win trophies. I think the squad is too good not to win a
Yeah,
10 years down the line. We could look back at this squad and say, well, this is the one that got away, right? We should have, hindsight's always 2020. But
yeah,
there's a fair chance that I do think there's a real good chance that we're going to be having this conversation next year
yeah.
under different circumstances, maybe with a trophy or two.
Yeah, it is so tough because, I think as Arsenal fans, we can see and we can speak about how much we've improved. And, when you're at Arsenal, when, as a fan, what you're watching, you do know there's a change since, Wenger left, Emery left. You can see there is a positive change with the culture, with the togetherness, and we can all acknowledge that. But I think, if Arteta left tomorrow, we would what would he be remembered by? A lot of managers will be remembered by what they've won, just as much as what, they've done for us, and I think as well, it's so tough because, people outside of Arsenal will say he's only won us an FA Cup, a few community people don't really count Community Shields, but it's still sort of a kind of trophy, but yeah, it is quite tough, with Arteta, with, what he's not quite won. And do you know what? It's not all on him, of course. The players miss their chances, don't do things right. It is on them. But I think, I'm really happy with how we are, but I just feel like we need to win something. Like I'm kind of losing my patience a little bit.
It's great because, yeah, as a American fan coming across, I've been coming across now for going on 8 years after college and everything like that.
Yeah,
At each time that I come across, you see the experience grows and grows, and it's a more wholesome experience. I think winning trophies is great, and that's what we've all want too. I think Arteta will be remembered for the community, the community, the shift
yeah.
in
What
environment.
he's done, yeah,
But I'm with you as well. We keep watching these. I don't know how much more heartbreak anybody can take.
yeah. It's tough. Yeah, I know. Eh,
I just look at it, and the community shield. It's only a trophy. It's not a trophy or silverware when your team doesn't win it. Let's say that if the community shield went to a different route last season, let's say City won it, then we'd be seeing City fans say, "Oh, it is a trophy." Well,
yeah,
take a step back here. It players are competing for it. You're playing at one of the most iconic stadiums for a piece of silverware. It's got to count for something. People just stop being so harsh on it. It's a great way to open up the season. It
yeah.
builds the excitement and builds the suspense.
Yeah, I agree. I always say, start last season when we won it, I know, we can't get carried away by winning it, but it feels great to win something. And I say a Community Shield is like a starter for the season of what we can do and more. I don't think any of us get carried away, but to be honest, I'm happy to win it as the start of the season. But I know, like you said, this group of players can do more than that. We know what we can achieve. Like being back in the Champions League, I think it's obviously just amazing to see how far we've gone. Like, a few seasons back, we would have really been humiliated, probably. I mean, I think as well, when you're in the Champions League and you're not really ready, um, for example, like United, Newcastle, they gave it a chance, but it just didn't work out. But for us, I felt like we really did ourselves proud with that. But next season, it's going to be interesting. And with the Champions League next season, how far do you think we could go? Because I know we want to balance the league out as well. I mean, we would love to win both in an ideal world, but if we won one, that would be really, like, I'd be made up if we won either one. But yeah, how do you feel about how far we could go next season in that competition?
I do think the goal, the target will be just the semis, just trying to improve on, just go that one next step better. If you put one foot in front of the other,
Yeah,
move on. I would, what's so wrong for saying that we're gonna go win it all? We're gonna have the mentality that when we step on the pitch, every trophy that we're competing for, we're gonna win it all. But I think the
yeah,
semifinals it's a realistic expectation, and then anything from that, obviously, we'll take it as it comes. But I think with the players having some European competition underneath their feet now and on their legs, they know
yeah,
what to expect. And you don't have to tell these players where they messed up. They'll be, before they go to sleep, they're going to just keep replaying it over and over in their minds. We know what to expect now. And I do
yeah,
believe the semis will be what we look at, and even making it to the final.
yeah. I mean, do you know what? We can do that. I mean, if we might not win it, but you look at the last game we had against Bayern. There were a lot of factors in it, but I think we could have done it. I mean, I think I wasn't too upset because the league. I thought we can just focus on that, but I think, like Wookie Cookie said here, even getting to the semi-finals, I think would be amazing. But I still think, we should believe that we still have a good chance to win it. Like you said, the players that we've got, I mean, it probably feels crazy saying that we could win it even after, how far we've come, where we are now. But I think, I think personally we played better football than Man City last season. I just think, they just had it. They could just, when we switched off for a game or a few games where we should have gotten those points, they obviously won all of theirs. So I don't, I think, us and Man City, I just think we're both good teams in our own way, last season. And I think it's going to be tough for the Champions League. Madrid, like you said, they're just, they're just too good. Even Man City couldn't really beat them. They're going to be hard to play against.
Well, football is a crazy game where one tackle in training could
Yeah,
end a player's season. And it's the fate, destiny. Everything happens for a reason. It seems like a trickle down effect, but anything
yeah,
could happen. Anything could happen. What if you could play it? What if Timber never got hurt? We didn't
yeah.
have to play certain players.
Yeah, do you know what? I think for me, when we played that Community Shield game, Timber played, and I was just so amazed by him. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of him, before he came, but when I watched him then, I thought, he just blew my mind. And I thought, for me, I thought he was going to be our player of the season. And then he got injured. I was so devastated because he had so much potential. But saying that, even when he played, I think the last game of the season, I thought he looked like he'd not been away, like he'd been so good. I mean, I think Timber could really play anywhere defensively at the back because I think he's a bit like Saka in that way. He'll just be happy to play anywhere and do what he can for the team. I mean, I suppose you could play him left back if he's happy to play there. I mean, there's a lot of other positions, but do you think Timber will kind of be back to what he was before his injury? Because I know with injuries like what he's, an ACL, it's quite tough as well. Because I know for the women's team, a few of the players, it's taken them a long time to kind of get back to how they used to play.
And each person's body is a little bit different.
Yeah,
If you look at a club like the Arsenal, you're talking some of the best physios. You could
yeah,
have the best physios, best sports doctors in the world. It just depends on that individual player's body.
mm,
They take care of themselves. Everything that they have done leading up to the injury makes an impact. Obviously, I'm no expert on sports medicine or anything like that,
yeah,
but I think if we're talking transfers coming in, I think it takes some of the expectations off of him. He won't feel this immense pressure to go out and perform. But I
Yeah.
think he could be this essentially a Swiss Army knife and play anywhere in that back line.
Yeah.
At the beginning of last season, we were talking about there was the rumors that Gabrielle was leaving.
Yeah, I remember that. That was that was so crazy to even think about now.
Could you fathom if that actually had happened? But now we're building a squad in the squad depth of players that have national team experience and experience across Europe. You know, these players are only just going to push them to a better level.
Yeah, I know. You know, it was crazy thinking about that because we've seen what an amazing season he's had, especially, Saliba as well, I think. I know I'm pretty sure Saliba was linked to Madrid at one point, but I think we're quite lucky now because a few seasons back, it would kind of be hard for players to stay here. Like, I know Arsenal, we've got a great history and stuff, but at the time we weren't really competing. But I think because we're competing now, we've got that for players to want to come here, for players that want to stay here. And I think it's great that Saliba as well seems really happy here, and especially for France, he's doing absolutely amazing. And Jay, I agree with what Phil's saying here as well. You've got to have a perfect season, and especially with Man City, because last season I think was our best season we've had in a long time. And you know what, we were so close, and Man City, you have to be perfect like them. It's so tough competing with that, but I think we did ourselves proud, and I think next season, I think we've got to probably, I look back on the season and I think the Aston Villa game wasn't necessarily a game that I look back on, I think that one was to blame. I think, if you look at games a bit like the Fulham one where we should have really won that, those are the games where I think next season we've got to win those games because we did do well, especially against the top four teams, top six teams. We did amazing, but I think for me personally, it's those teams that might be a bit lower down that we've really got to win against.
Well, and the one match for me that stands out personally was the Newcastle away match.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Mike from the Gooners podcast managed to help
Yeah.
me go to that trip, and it was a once in a lifetime experience to see that. But while it was a great experience going up to Newcastle, I'm not going to be advertising that I was at that match because I could have just jinxed our whole season right there. But you look at matches like that where the Fulham, Newcastle, Aston Villa,
Yeah.
it's so hard to say, well, that's the match where it ended. Well, no. What if the match came down to goal differential? Then we're going to start talking about all those missed opportunities.
Yeah.
You know what? We just have to pick ourselves up and go again. That's all we can do.
Yeah, yeah, that game was that I remember remember that feeling so stressed after that. There was a lot of factors, but I don't think the Villa game were. I mean, at the time I did think it, but looking back, I think Villa were in a really good place, getting top four, and they just had it in them to do that, and they were so much better than us on that day. But I think next season, I feel like we will be much better with, those sort of games. I think, a lot of it as well depends on who's going to leave because I know, like we've said, Partey, like if Partey left, I wouldn't be too sad because I know he's injured for like half of the season, and Jorginho is probably more of a bench player, maybe. It depends really how we play it, but I definitely think we can win a lot next season depending on, how it goes. Yeah, for them that one was I'm pretty sure that was before Dubai, and then after Dubai we I don't know what happened, but I can't complain because we did really well after that. But I just wanted to thank you so much for coming on today. I know this has been your first sort of podcast, so it's been really good to have you on. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Sophie. It's an absolute pleasure. I've been following you for years, and we've talked even on the Highbury Squad chat.
Yeah.
It's just an absolute honor to have the chance to sit here and come on your channel that you've worked so hard to build up, and you've always been so positive. So just keep doing you, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much as well. It's been good to have you on as well. Big up to Phil as well. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And yeah, big up to everyone in the comments that have, asked us questions. I've really, really enjoyed this. Please don't forget as well to smash that like button if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. And yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully football will come home for England. But we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, guys, I will see you all very soon. Take care. Bye.
Take care, guys.